So Jasmine Crockett really thought she was calling out racism, but now she's the one getting dragged all over the internet. Because after she claimed Argentina and its fans are racist and suggested that's why so many people were rooting for Spain in the World Cup final, the reaction was almost immediate. And surprisingly, it wasn't just Argentina fans pushing back. People started pointing out the irony of it all. Like, how can Jasmine accuse an entire country's fan base of racism while continuing to support Israel, a government that's facing widespread accusations over its military actions in Gaza and Lebanon? So now, instead of everyone debating Argentina, they're debating whether Jasmine just exposed her own double standard. And as you guys probably know, once social media smells hypocrisy, it doesn't let it go. Fans started digging up old statements, comparing her positions on different issues, and arguing that she's applying one standard to Argentina and another everywhere else. But the part that's making this even messier is how Argentina fans decided to fight back. Now, this whole mess started because Jasmine Crockett decided to leave legislation and politics to jump into the World Cup conversation, and let's just say people were not expecting her take. During a recent congressional hearing, she asked historian David Blight why the world seemed to be rooting against Argentina and wanted Spain to beat them in the World Cup final. He gave what most people would probably call the obvious answer, saying maybe Spain just had the better team, but Jasmine immediately cut in with, "There's also a racist history." And y'all, that one sentence was all it took.
The World Cup that captured the imaginations of the entire world when they saw all of these people of color that was playing for all these teams. And ultimately, if you recall, the last two teams, it was Argentina and Spain. And it seemed like the vast majority of the world was rooting for Argentina, or actually against Argentina, right? And why was that? Just give me an explanation if you could guess. If you'll just let them finish the answer.
Spain had the best team. Maybe that's why they were rooting for them.
There's also a racist history that exists as it relates to
Mr. Byer,
Argentina.
you're recognized.
Thank you.
The clip started flying across X, TikTok, and YouTube, and suddenly nobody was talking about the World Cup anymore. Everyone was talking about Jasmine. People were saying, hold on, did she really just boil millions of Argentina fans down to racism? Others started wondering why she seemed so comfortable calling out an entire country's history, but stayed noticeably quieter when it came to other conflicts around the world. That's when the hypocrisy allegations came rolling in. It seemed like Jasmine had no problem accusing Argentina of racism, yet she continues to support Israel despite the serious accusations and international criticism surrounding its military actions in Gaza and Lebanon. And once Argentina fans saw those accusations taking off, they didn't just defend themselves, they started digging into Jasmine's own record. Now, to be fair to Jasmine, she didn't just wake up one morning and decide Argentina was the bad guy. People have been side-eyeing that team for years. Some people even call them football's favorite villains. And let's be honest, a lot of that comes with being one of the greatest teams in history. When you've had legends like Messi and Maradona wearing your shirt, people are naturally waiting for you to slip up. But they've also had their own shady history, and we saw that play out during the final. As soon as the whistle blew, things completely boiled over. Argentina's Leandro Paredes allegedly grabbed Spain defender Eric Garcia by the throat before Gavi was thrown to the ground, and within seconds, players, coaches, and staff from both sides were running onto the pitch.
And we're seeing these replayed for the first time, so you can see the reactions from some of the Argentina players. Not great to see.
Yeah, but it doesn't surprise you. It doesn't surprise me. I think we've seen this with Argentina before, and it's just not the reaction you want. You know, we've seen some of the reaction after knocking England out in the last round as well, and I think Edson Fernandez has got what he deserves as well. So it's disappointing, but that's just sad.
Instead of everyone celebrating the end of the tournament, it just felt like we were watching what looked more like a boxing weigh-in than a World Cup final. And if you followed Argentine football for a while, you know fans immediately started bringing up old controversies too. The one that always comes up is the infamous holy water incident back in 1990. The story goes that Brazilian defender Branco drank from a water bottle handed over by Argentina's staff during the World Cup, felt strangely dizzy afterward. And years later, Diego Maradona himself admitted on television that the drink had been spiked. So when when Jasmine brought up Argentina's history, plenty of people understood exactly what she was referring to. But the problem was never really the message, it was more the messenger. But here's the thing, by this point, people weren't even arguing about whether Argentina has a messy history anymore. What everyone was laughing about was the fact that Jasmine Crockett was the one making the argument. The internet basically went, "Wait, you are saying this?" Check this one viral comment out. It read, "Reminder, Jasmine Crockett supports a Jewish supremacist ethno-state committing genocides against Palestinians and Lebanese. Her entire knowledge of Argentina comes from TikTok history slop. Yanks really need to learn to STFU sometimes." And let's be real, Jasmine's standards pretty much change depending on who she's talking about. If y'all recall, Jasmine already caught a ton of heat last year after voting for a supplemental funding package that included military aid for Israel during the war in Gaza. That vote sparked a huge backlash online because to a lot of people, her actions didn't match the human rights values she often talks about in public. Then things got even messier. People started bringing up old posts, old interviews, and even claims that she was too close to pro-Israel lobbying groups and being sponsored by AIPAC. So it seemed pretty clear that she picks and chooses which humanitarian crises she chose to speak out on. So by the time Jasmine started talking about Argentina's racist history, a lot of people had already made up their minds. And that's when Argentina fans decided they weren't going to sit back and take it anymore. See, a lot of people agreed with that earlier viral post because they thought Jasmine's comments came off less like an informed opinion and more like someone making a sweeping statement about a country she barely knew. That's when people really started piling on. One comment said, "This is what happens when you get your education about foreign countries from a 60-second TikTok video. Pure ignorance." And judging by the replies, plenty of people seemed to think that summed the whole situation up. But some took it even further. Instead of calling her misinformed, they started accusing her of chasing headlines. One viral post read, "Jasmine Crockett is absolutely corrupt and disgusting and will do anything for attention, whatever the issue may be." The crazy part is that by this stage, hardly anyone was even talking about the World Cup final anymore. The conversation had completely flipped. Instead of asking whether Argentina deserved its reputation, people were asking whether Jasmine had damaged her own credibility by jumping into a topic they felt she didn't fully understand. And just when it looked like the backlash had reached its peak, another twist started changing the conversation all over again. But here's where this whole thing got even more awkward for Jasmine. As soon as this Argentina controversy blew up, people started dragging up something we know she wants everyone to forget: her loss to James Tallarico in the Democratic Senate primary. And the timing couldn't have been worse because people immediately started pointing out how this was another example of Jasmine jumping into controversial debates instead of addressing the questions surrounding her own political setbacks. The thing is, even a lot of Democratic strategists didn't blame that loss on racism. They pointed to a campaign that lacked focus, an organization that never really matched Tallarico's ground game, and a media strategy that leaned far too heavily on social media instead of the television advertising that's still considered essential in a state as massive as Texas. All of that criticism came despite her receiving a high-profile endorsement from former Vice President Kamala Harris. But then Jasmine responded in a way that had people doing a double take all over again. She played the race card and straight up called the primary a racist race. And that's exactly why so many people were rolling their eyes when she jumped into the Argentina conversation. Folks were like, "Here we go again?" Because somehow, whenever things don't go her way or controversy starts swirling around her, the conversation always circles back to race. So for a lot of people, this was never just about Argentina. It feels like we're watching the same pattern play out all over again. And once that narrative went viral, it became a whole lot harder for Jasmine to convince people that this time was any different.